Good afternoon. It is noon. No, it's actually still morning. Good morning and welcome to the Health and Government Operations Committee. Jocelyn Pena-Milnick, chair of the committee, my vice chair to the left, Delegate Bonnie Collison. We have our three lawyers here in the committee today. And I want to thank the committee for the work you did this week and what you're going to do next week. So today we have, I believe, 7 bills. We're going to start with, we don't have any withdrawals. We are going to start with House Bill 36, which is a departmental bill, Department of Aging Services Program Repeal and Consolidation. It came out of the subcommittee favorable with amendment. The analyst is Lisa, and the chair of the subcommittee is Rosenberg. Lisa.
This is a departmental bill. It repeals the requirement that the Secretary of Aging develop congregate housing services and assisted living programs for seniors, and instead requires the Department of Aging to develop, coordinate, and administer a system to provide similar specified services. The bill also repeals the Interagency Committee on Aging Services and instead transfers specified committee responsibilities to the Department of Aging and clarifies and expands those responsibilities. There are amendments that are on the first page of your packet, and they specify that the definition of area agencies is for area agencies on aging. And they require the Department of Aging to engage with stakeholders, including area agencies on aging, to conduct transition training, co-design the consolidated program, and provide individuals impacted by the transition with individual transition plans to ensure appropriate care is maintained.
And the Rosenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As Council summarized, this is a departmental bill. It's not creating a new program. It's shifting the responsibility for it. And we, to the Office on Aging itself, the department, and it provides for one-on-one mandates. Our amendment mandates one-on-one counseling to the seniors about the impact of this change. Move the amendments.
Second.
So the amendment has been moved and second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? See none, the bill passes. Let's go to, excuse me?
The bill as amended.
Oh, the bill as, I'm sorry, you're right. The bill as amended. May I have a motion? Thank you so much for keeping me honest. Okay, great. So it's been moved in second. All those, is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none? Thank you. Thank you for keeping me honest. Let's move on to, no, you can on departmental bills. Yes. House, but thank you. That's a good idea. Let's move on to House Bill 46. It's another departmental bill, Public Health, Cannabis Public Health Advisory Council. It was favorable. It was Aaron and Bagno. Aaron.
This bill adds the administrator of the Motor Vehicle Administration or their designee as a member of the Cannabis Public Health Advisory Council.
Bagno.
Straightforward, and the vote was unanimous. I would move the bill.
Is there a second? Wonderful. It's been moved in second. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say yes. Yes. Any opposition? Any opposition? All right, the bill passes. Let's move on to House Bill 94. It is another departmental bill. Opioid-associated disease prevention and outreach programs, appeals and membership of standing advisory committee. It was favorable. Aaron and Bagno. Aaron.
The bill alters the membership of the Standing Advisory Committee on Opioid-Associated Disease Prevention and Outreach Programs by replacing the Deputy Secretary for Public Health Services with the Secretary of Health or the Secretary's designee. The bill also shifts responsibility for chairing the advisory committee and handling appeals of an adverse decision to operate an opioid-associated disease prevention and outreach program from the Deputy Secretary for Public Health Services to the Secretary or their designee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is essentially technical in nature, so that when we change the names of some of these administrations, we don't have to keep changing the code. Secretary is more than qualified to designate a representative. It was unanimous, and I would move the bill.
Is there a second? Second. Are there any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Did I confuse you? Any opposition? Great. Let's move on to House Bill 138. It's another departmental bill, State Government Veterans Burial at State Veterans Cemetery, Burial Equity Act. I remember this one. We had a lot of discussion. It was favorable with amendment. Lindsay and Kurt. Lindsay.
As introduced, this departmental bill repeals the state residency requirement in order for specified veterans to be buried in a state veterans cemetery. The bill also alters the definition of veteran and expands those eligible for burial in a state veterans cemetery if the individual being buried is a member of the National Guard, or again, as introduced, or the Military Reserve, or the individual's eligible dependent. Then the Department of Veterans and Military Families must collect at the time of burial a fee equal to the annual plot allowance established by the National Cemetery Administration. There are amendments or a reprint of the bill beginning in page 2 of your packet, adopted in subcommittee, that expand eligibility for burial in a state veteran cemetery to include not just members of the National Guard and the military reserves, but also the reserve component of the Public Health Service.
That's me.
Sure.
Thank you. We discussed the changes to the amendment in subcommittee, and the bill as amended was unanimously approved for the full committee. So I move the amendment.
Is there someone that can do a second? Second. It's been moved and second. Any questions or discussion on the amendments? This is House Bill 138. So 138, are there any questions? Okay, seeing no questions, any discussion? All right, seeing none. Can someone move the bill as amended? Oh, we do, okay, on the amendment, thank you. All those in favor of the amendment say aye. Aye. Any opposition on the, Delegate Shalega, do you have a question?
I think one of these guys does.
Okay. Okay. Oh, you know what? Sorry. No, you can always ask question. This is the place, okay? So we don't need to rush it. So go ahead and ask your question.
There's another.
Okay, I moved the amendment. They've been second, and now we're discussing.
I'm looking at the fiscal note. The original fiscal note said indeterminate amount, and I understand that. But coming in, if we add reserve, like we just did with the amendment, and I know this is my subcommittee, but I was out. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And it's so we're adding the Reserve Corps of the U.S. Public Health Service, correct? I'm assuming, do we have any idea how many people that could be? When I see indeterminate amount on a fiscal note, obviously I take pause, so.
Delegate Kerr, wait for the microphone. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
We really don't know, but the Uniform Public Health Service is a relatively small service, and then someone having served in the reserve component of that is even smaller. So I'm just guessing, Delegate, but I would think it would be fiscally negligible.
And actually, if I may, during the testimony, we asked that question, and the answer from the department will be really like less, very, very small, and that they will be able to get some grants as well. And they didn't think it was going to be anything really significant. My pleasure. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we did move it. All those in favor of the amendment say aye. Aye. Any opposition? None. And the bill as amended? So moved. It's been moved and second. Are there any discussion or questions on the bill as amended? Okay, Delegate Olson.
Thank you. I do see where the amendment from subcommittee is in about any other services recognized under the federal code, but it's only for the reserve component. I thought we were doing it for reserves and active duty, or maybe that was my intent and I didn't say it clearly.
It's just for reserve. That's the intent of the bill.
Okay. Because there was a question about like Space Force members being eligible. And
Which is why we just had uniform service.
And that would change the fiscal note. Thank you. You're welcome. And I appreciate the question, all right? Thank you. Any other discussions or questions? All right, all those in favor of the bill as amended, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? All right, the bill passes. And let's go on to the next one, which is another departmental bill. House Bill 181, Military Department Chief of Staff and Aides, Appointment and Authority. It was favorable. It's Lindsay and Kurt. Lindsay.
This departmental bill replaces the governor with the adjutant general as the individual responsible for specified functions within the military department. Specifically, the bill authorizes the adjutant general of the military department instead of the governor to appoint a chief of staff and aides. The bill further establishes that these individuals serve at the pleasure of the adjutant general rather than the governor. There are no amendments on this, and the cross file was voted unanimously favorable with no amendments in Triple E yesterday.
Chair. Thank you, Lindsay.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. This bill would actually increase government efficiency. There was, it was moved quickly in subcommittee and passed unanimously.
So are you moving it?
I am moving the bill. There is no amendment.
All right. So it's been moved in second. Any discussion? Seeing none. Any questions? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? All right. Lindsay and Kurt, you've been busy. House Bill 196, State Government, Department of Veterans and Military Families, Board and Commission Membership and Oversight. It was favorable. Lindsay and Kurt. Lindsay.
This is another departmental bill. It repeals the War Memorial Commission and instead requires the Department of Veterans and Military Families to provide oversight of the War Memorial Building. The bill alters the membership of the Board of Trustees of the Maryland Veterans Trust and the Maryland Veterans Commission and specifies that a majority of the voting members of the trust and commission are a quorum. There are no amendments.
Chair Kerr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This was
welcome.
another bill that didn't require any action by subcommittee, and I move the bill.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Are there any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, the bill passes. Let's go on to House Bill 276, State Government Forms Reporting Requirement Repeal. It was voted favorable with amendment out of the subcommittee. It is Lindsay and Kurt. Lindsay.
This is a departmental bill that repeals the requirement that by July 31st of each year, each department or independent unit of state government must submit to the Records Management Division of the Department of General Services an annual report on its management of its forms during the previous fiscal year. There is an amendment on page 6 of your packet that changes the effective date of the bill from October 1st to July 1st. This is so that the bill goes into effect before that July 31st reporting date, since it's repealing it.
Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill was amended to change the effective date. There was some question about why there was no longer the need for these reports. Apparently, these reports are fed to DGS, but DGS no longer consolidates and publishes their own report related to these reports. So we are just no longer requiring these reports to be submitted for a report that's no longer created.
Okay.
Again, we're increasing government efficiency.
All right.
So I move the amendment.
So is there any question or discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition to the amendment? And the bill is amended. It's been moved in second as amended. Are there any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, the bill passes. And the last bill for today, and then we do have briefings, okay? It is House Bill 345, Delegate Kerr and Woods, Interstate Social Work Licensure Compact Bill. It was favorable with amendment. It is Lisa and Rosenberg. Lisa.
This
you,
bill
Lindsay.
enters Maryland into the Interstate Social Work Licensure Compact. There are amendments on the end of your packet, and the amendments make technical corrections for consistency with the compact.
Okay, Chair Rosenberg.
This is legislation that we passed last year, and no action was taken on it by the Senate.
All
I
right,
would move the amendments.
it's been moved in second. Any questions or discussion on the amendment? All right. Okay, so we did move it in second, so all those in favor say aye? Aye. Any opposition on the bill? Delegate Morgan?
So I was the one that voted no in subcommittee. And the reason was, I mean, this legislation, I co-sponsored this last year. I think it's necessary. But you look at the fiscal note, and there was no fiscal note last year. And this year, they're hiring an employee to implement the compact. And then during testimony from the advocates during the subcommittee, they reiterated that this fund had $400,000 scraped from it.
Actually,
That's what they said.
1 second, let me move the bill, because we did not move the bill. It was just the amendment. Let me move the bill.
Okay, I thought we were on the bill when you
So, can you move the bill as amended, please? Someone? Move the bill as amended. Second. So it's been moved and second as amended. Questions? Go ahead.
Sorry about that, Madam
It's
Chair.
okay.
We got out of rhythm.
It's okay.
So during subcommittee testimony, one of the advocates for the bill said that there was $400,000 from this account that was collects via fees was moved from this to the general fund, which I think if that is occurring, and this is the first time we're hearing that this session, that's happened in the past when Maryland's been in bad budgetary situations. And I think it's absolutely horrible because over the last year, we've raised between the General Assembly and the administration, like 338 different fees. And they've raised these fees with the best intentions in the world. And then if the money's just going to be gathered up and moved over to the general fund, what are we doing? So that's why I voted no. But I mean, I could be talked into voting for this bill if the fiscal note and that situation was addressed.
Delegate Rosenberg.
Well, I guess one thing we could add language, and I think it's appropriate at this point, saying that no money can be transferred from the special fund to any use to a use outside of that of this process. I mean, we could do that.
We could do that, and they could just do something else in the FERPA or wherever. I mean, yeah.
So Lisa says, that it's not probably advisable to do that. It's a special fund, and they could do something else in the BRFA, so we can't tie the hands of the Appropriations Committee. Okay, Delegate Johnson.
Madam Chair, so I'm not on that subcommittee, so I didn't hear any of this conversation, but in a compact, there's somebody that runs the compact. So there's 22 other states have passed this legislation. So does each state control their own money pot, or does it go to the compact money pot?
Lisa. The money that we're talking about now is the money that's collected for licenses in Maryland. So it's specific to Maryland.
For the compact?
No, it's for the Maryland licensure.
All right, okay, thank you.
Any other question or discussion? You still have, 1 second. I see it. Delegate Hill and then Shalega. And then Johnson, you look like you still have a question in you. I may come back to you. Delegate Hill.
I'm also not part of the subgroup, but my understanding is that with a lot of our licenses, if it seems that the license fees collected for at least a series of years are higher, then we obligate them to lower. So I guess the question is, what is the status with this board in terms of how they charge the fees? And if there is no obligation, to lower fees. I mean, the fees are supposed to cover the cost, the board cost, and the implementation cost. And if for some reason they turn, they're proactively set and they turn out to be too high, aren't there mechanisms we could put into return, if that's an issue, and I'm not sure it is.
Could be done in a future legislature or in a future budget.
It doesn't have to be done now, but if that were a concern of the committee, if Delegates Morgan's concern were a concern of the committee, then you could say if there are overages for more than 2 years, the fee should be adjusted accordingly or something like that. But you can, as you say, on the...
If I may, this is what I'm going to do because there are a lot of questions. I want to know why the difference in the fiscal note now. It's a valid question. Did they lose 3 people from the department? Are they short? Is that it? Right? Did they lose pins? I want to be able to have the answers. So this is what I'm going to do, Delegate Morgan. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to send it back to subcommittee, and I would like the board to come to the subcommittee and explain, please, why the difference in the fiscal note. All right? And in addition, address Delegate Johnson's question. Do other states that have passed it also require a person to run it? And what does it take to run it? What does it entail? What is the work? Is that fair enough? Okay? We're going to send it back, okay? Yes, Delegate Shalega.
Thank you. And while you're at it, please ask about the fund sweeping. Did it happen? Did they take 4?
It's being proposed.
It's in the current BRFA? Okay.
The appropriations.
I would just, for those of you that weren't here, when Governor O'Malley was here and we had a budget crisis, they took a lot of money out of these funds, and they're supposed to be, the license fee, as Delegate Hill said, is supposed to pay for your license. They took a lot out of the physicians fund. I want to say $1 million and $1.5 million. So some of these, as we know, license boards save up money to upgrade their information technology, and, taking their money to put it in the general fund may dissuade, prohibit them from upgrading. They may be saving it for some purpose. And secondly, it should go back to the licensees. So just my 2 cents.
I understand the concern, but just to add a little bit of balance, it's not just Governor O'Malley. Under Governor Hogan, we took money out of the reinsurance program. He did over $200 million out of the reinsurance program that we know we have it for the premiums, but it was a need, right? So I'm not so concerned about that, although it is valid, but I do want these questions answered because they're valid questions, and we'll ask you a question as well. Every single question that you have, we're going to ask it, okay? I want you to bring the questions here as well, and for us to make a decision in an intelligent way, in a balanced way. Does that sound fair? Okay. And thank you to the council and the Delegate Rosenberg for your patience as well, all right? Thank you, sir. My pleasure. I think that was it, right? For the bill hearing. So this will conclude the bill voting session for Friday. We do have at 12:30, we do have briefings, and we're going to have a briefing on ER wait time. As you know, Maryland has the worst wait time in the nation, and we want to know what they're doing, how they plan to address it. And the speaker is going to be with us as well. So let's start on time at 12:30. There is actually some food for you in the back. And thank you so much. And thank you to our wonderful staff for getting us all the paperwork and everything ahead of time, all right? And thank you, Delegate Morgan, for your question. All right, bring us down.